The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for attending. We're just going to give it 2 more minutes and get a bunch more people on here. We got a bunch, but we want to get some more. So we'll start it promptly at 3, and it should take a little under an hour. And we'll be right back. Okay, everyone. Welcome again to the ROI Print Manager webinar. I'm going to introduce you to Peter Turnbull. He is the Chief Operating Officer of ROI Print Manager, and he's going to be doing the presentation. So I'd like to make him a presenter. So just give me 1 second and we'll get started. Thanks again. Okay, I think you're good to go there.
Thank you, Roseanne. Hopefully everyone can hear me now. Welcome to the webinar. Thank you very much to Kyocera for giving us this opportunity to present to you guys today. As Roseanne said, my name is Peter Turnbull. I'm based out of Austin, Texas. ROI is headquartered in Scottsdale, Arizona, actually. Just back from there the other day. And the presentation today is going to be recorded. I'm going to run through some slides, hopefully give you some useful information to take away. I'll also be doing a bit of a demo of one of the newer modules of our software. If you miss anything or I skip over anything, you'll be able to pick up the presentation recording after the webinar. But if you do have any questions, I'll be available at the end of the webinar to try and answer any questions that you may have. So please use the question section within the GoToWebinar control panel if you do have any particular questions. Okay. So hopefully you can all see my screen now. I'm going to start the actual presentation. So you may have seen our strapline at the presentation. ROI, not just another print and copy tracking solution. Yes, some of the functionality that you see today you may well be familiar with in the marketplace, but we believe we've got something different to offer you and your customers. ROI has been in business since early 2000. Back in the day, we're historically been known as a print assessment, print usage tracking, and a rules-based printing product. A few years ago now, we partnered with an established technology in the marketplace, and with that, we we were able to offer the HyPAS embedded solution for Kyocera. That technology is not new in the marketplace. It's been around for a number of years. So we've actually got quite a lot of customers here in North America as well as over in Europe that are using that technology. It's now the ROI technology. And certainly over the past year and a bit, we've begun to sell a lot more of the ROI branded version of the software in the US and North America. So I'll be touching on some interesting customers as we go forward. Why are we different? We think we've got a different approach to the marketplace. We work through OEMs and dealers. We don't sell directly to end customers, so you're not going to find us in competition with yourself when you're in a deal. And we tend to pick and choose who we're actually working with. We tend to invest a lot in the partnership. So we're going to offer you a differentiator there. And as I say, we've got a few more bells and whistles or features and functionality over our kind of nearest competition that increasingly is beginning to see us as a product of choice within the marketplace. One of the latest modules that we have introduced is our Centralized driver management module. ROI itself historically has not needed print servers, so we've never really, had a requirement to use print servers within customer environment. But still, we didn't have all the functionality to allow customers to eliminate print servers. With the Centralized driver management solution, we now have that. It's the kind of last feature left on a print server that customers may need to utilize. And we can offer a much better solution and help customers eliminate print servers. So I'm going to touch on that towards the end and give you a bit of an overview of that. Another way in which we help dealers, and we're not just selling a solution that's targeted for end customers, is the way we work with dealers and on our channel. So yes, we track print and copy usage, but we also provide that information back to you guys so that you can use that to then sell additional software and additional services into the customer. And we can use that to help build out QBRs and business cases using customers' actual data. So we can put our software into a customer environment in a non-invasive way and then pull all that data out. All the usage data, which you combine with device level data and really offer value to your customers. The way I tend to position this is that we enable you to have a more consultative sales approach to dealing with your customers. And because we can break down our software by module, which is fairly unique in the marketplace, you can start with point solutions across a variety of customers. You don't just need to go in with the full-blown functionality. And in that way, we think we're a better value for money solution than the rest of the people that we compete with out there in the world. Oh, where are we going? There we go. As I said, ROI has been about for a number of years, and over that time we've built up quite a considerable customer base, particularly in North America. We tend to find a bit of a niche for ourselves, or niche, within schools, within larger organizations, which has tended to be as a result of our architecture. We have a more robust enterprise architecture with our software, which makes it easier and more flexible for larger organizations. So school districts, you can see a few logos there of some school districts that we work with, some very, very large ones indeed. Also larger organizations, banking and finance being a big sector, and government as well. We have a number of the VA organizations that work very closely with ROI. So we have a broad spectrum of customers and increasingly larger organizations. But ROI itself is completely scalable. We also have very, very small customers that even have one MFP. So I guess the message there is that we can probably scale a lot better than other products when it comes to that. One of the more recent customers that I'll touch on, if you see up there, is New Hanover County Schools, and this is a deal that we worked with a Kyocera dealer on. The customer had some strange requirements, so we were glad we could help. So New Hanover County Schools is based out of Wilmington in North Carolina. Like many school districts, they have a lot of high schools, elementary and middle schools, as well as administrative offices. So they actually have over 47 locations. And they were buying a new fleet, refreshing their fleets, and the dealer put in over 250 printers and Kyocera MFPs of various models there. So yes, they wanted to track their printing copy usage. So not just wanting to know what's been printed and what's been copied, but actually who's been printing and what they're actually printing, so they can find out more information about their environment. They wanted quota management, so the ability to offer color and mono quotas across print and copy. And they also were wanting a high availability architecture. Hanover were very particular in having a server at every single location they had. We have got many sites. 250 printers or MFPs are fairly straightforward for us. We can handle it on one of our software servers. But New Hanover wanted 47, one for each school district or each school location. That is a number of benefits. Obviously, from a high availability. If one of the servers goes down, that means it doesn't affect the rest of the school district. If the network goes down, they can still print within their own subdomain. But they were also wanting to ensure that each school was unable to see anything else that was happening around their environment. So they didn't want one school to be able to see any users or any information about what was happening at another school. And obviously they were wanting to reduce costs. So we deployed ROI. I think the budget implementation was 4 days of professional services for 47 servers. The dealer and the customer picked up the software fairly quickly. They were able to pick up and implement most of this themselves from an initial training program. And we deployed our printed copy usage tracking and the embedded application, as it were, on the HyPAS MFPs. So we're using the secure prints, the authentication using ID cards, and we're also attaching to some network single function devices. And there we're using keypads so that users can get the same secure print release experience that they can on the Kyocera MFPs, albeit not as rich. So there they would just type in their PIN and be able to release their jobs at the single function network devices. As I said, this was an interesting environment. We could have addressed it all with one single server. From a failover perspective, we might have put in 2 servers of ROI, but the school district wanted 47. So our architecture is slightly different from our competitors. We don't just offer a master and slave type architecture where we've got the slaves out there doing the majority of the queue management and processing of the jobs and passing data up to a central configuration master server. We can offer that functionality, but what's different about ROI is that every single hub server out there is also a failover for another one. So should our software go down for any particular reason or be unavailable for network latency purposes, then users can still actually access the system. They can authenticate, they can release jobs because they are connected to one hub after another. Obviously, if the entire site goes down, then we've got problems there. But I think the customer would have greater problems if their entire network went down. So there you go, 47 servers. They're all isolated in a way so that the administrator of a local hub server cannot actually see what's happening on any other server, and only the administrators and those with rights can actually see what's happening across the entire estate or the entire fleet. So we can pull all the reports and the data at a local hub level or at a centralized enterprise level. So quite an interesting case study there. As I touched on earlier, that we have a range of functionality, and what we offer is the ability to break that down into separately licensed modules. And these are the kind of key modules that we offer today. Print and copy usage tracking reporting. So here we're not only tracking MFP print and copy usage, we're also tracking network printing usage and also local printing usage. And we're not needing to interrogate print servers to capture that information. So we have a local desktop agent that we can deploy to the user's workstation, and that can track any printing activity the user's doing and feed that data back to ROI so we can create reports on that information. The local agent also helps us in another way because it provides notifications to the user. And this is particularly important when we start talking about rules-based printing or quota management. So here we can offer a variety of different rules that can either be enforced, so the user has no option. They have to adhere to the enforcement rules of the organization. Or alternatively, we can make it optional. So we can have informative user messaging. So we can try and influence that user behavior rather than forcing them to do it. And a lot of our customers tend to like that approach initially because it allows users to become more familiar and basically start thinking about what they're actually printing. You know, are they really wanting to print that 100-page document in full color? What are the costs associated with that to the business? Aligned to that is cost recovery, typically used in a professional services or legal capacity, but increasingly across any organization. We've got school districts, we've got government organizations looking to charge back the cost of the equipment and the software to departments. They want to assign it to projects as well. So our cost recovery capabilities address that. I'll start going through each of these modules in a little more detail just to give you a flavour of the functionality we offer. And as I said, I'll touch on our new or latest print driver management module as we get towards the end of the presentation. Print usage tracking reporting, very standard stuff. Here we have got a range of reports within the interface of the software. You can view these reports online. You can schedule these reports through email distribution groups. They can be made available as PDF documents. We can make the raw data available through Excel or CSV. And we can also export the data as XML so that users can analyze it offline or maybe import it into a third-party billing or other type of application. So fairly kind of standard functionality there. As alluded to, the difference with ROI is that we have a range of options open to us about how we actually capture that information. So we don't necessarily have to have print servers within our customer environment to pull the print usage data. We can allow users to print through direct print, local printing, and still be able to capture that information. This is an example of our user interface. It's well, I say user interface. It's the admin interface of the software. The users typically will not need to see this at all. The admin would log in. It's a web browser-based interface, so accessible anywhere, and they can run reports within the admin interface, and they can schedule the distribution to different users or groups of users within the customer's environment. This is typically what a report looks like on screen in a PDF document. As you see, we capture an awful lot of information about the report, and right down to the job level detail. So typically organizations would start tracking what's going on, and you can begin to go in and talk to them about, for example, fleet optimization, where you see jobs being printed at devices that you want to move, transition output away. You want to obviously transition that onto your equipment. You can find underutilized devices through the reports and remove them from the environment. But the fact that you're using the customer data to provide these recommendations makes it significantly more powerful. So moving on, typically after we've tracked what the customer's doing, then you can begin to recommend rules and quota management to help drive down the costs or move output from inefficient devices over to your new equipment. So we have the concept of enforcement rules, which are rules that typically the user doesn't have any option over. Typically, that might be defaulting to duplex printing, for example, but you can exclude certain users from that, and that's an advantage over just defaulting the driver to duplex. And certainly, a lot of legal departments don't like that because they typically have to print in single-sided modes for legal contracts, so they don't want to be forced to duplex. So the rule set's flexible by down to a user level, so we can set rules by users, we can set them by print devices, we can set them by application level. There's quite a wide range of different rules that we can offer to customers to address their needs. So I've touched on this. The print policies option is something that typically organizations start with. So that, for example, they might want to stop users or begin to transition users away from printing everything in color. The print policy option would pop up a message on the user's desktop. It would inform them that, they're about to print in color to a specific device, and maybe that's not the best device, or maybe that's not the best choice for that particular document type. So they can either ignore that message, or they can cancel the job and try again on another device, or try printing mono. We have configurable desktop notifications. This is the background image that you see in front of you here. We can actually drop in other images. So if you want a Kyocera branded image or a dealer branded image, we can do that. If you want to include some customer customizations, we can do that as well. So typically what you see here is the real estate to the left of the notification is up for grabs. You can put whatever you want in there. You might want to put a background watermark on it, but typically without too much customization, the heading, which says user rule there, is where we would put the information about the particular rule, and the real estate below there is where you would configure what needs to be explained by that particular rule. So so that can be laid on any image that you wish to provide, as long as it's meeting the kind of correct dimensions, which obviously we can provide you with. So least cost routing is typically a rule that customers like to enforce. That's moving the output away from fairly expensive, typically locally attached devices. So we can invoke rules, even if a user is trying to print to their USB attached printer. We can pop up a notification. There's an example of another image that we can use. There's the mean CFO telling the user that they shouldn't be printing to that device, and they should be printing to a more cost-effective device. So we can invoke that rule. Reducing colour is, or controlling colour is obviously a big thing out there. It's great that we can all print in colour, but not everything is appropriate. Typically, a rule that we would see here would be printing emails in mono and in duplex. So with ROI, we can get down to that level of detail. We can pick the application, whether it's email, whether it's Microsoft Words, whether it's PowerPoint. We can even pick particular users or groups of users. So for example, we can stop the finance department printing in colour, but we can allow the marketing team to do so. So we have that level of flexibility within the software. Again, just another typical example. We can detect from the tracking that we're doing how many people are actually still printing in simplex mode, and we can try and increase that. Again, it's helping reduce that cost to the customer in terms of consumables. And here's an example of an application level rule. So here we're beginning to say, well, this is an email, or it's output from or print job from the internet via a browser, and we can identify that, and we can reduce or eliminate that. Another way to control what users are actually doing is through quotas. I touched on New Hanover. They're using quotas a lot to basically educate the users that they've only got so much money or so many clicks that they can use, and so if they use too much color, for example, they'll run out. So we can control quotas by cost. We can give them clicks, we can give them pages, we can give them color quotas, and that is quite flexible. When we begin to talk about cost recovery, we can start creating price lists associated with quotas, so that we can price up every type of document they're printing or copying, for example. Cost recovery is typically within legal and professional services types environments, but as I said, it's increasingly being used within commercial organisations or schools and government, where they're wanting to recharge the cost of printing and the cost of that fleet back to the individual departments or cost centres. So cost recovery is just an additional module that you can license. And so if the customer doesn't want it, they don't need to pay for it, as it were. And it utilises the same technology as rules. So we're using the desktop agent to allow the user to select the cost centre and at the desktop when they're doing printing, or we can invoke it at the MFPs. So what you see here is a screen that would pop up after the user authenticates. And here the user has been prompted to enter a cost account. So they can search their database, they can select the particular cost account, and anything that they do from that point on, for example, any copying, even scanning and faxing, and will be associated with that cost account. So that's the way that we handle both printing and copying. So with utilising the HyPAS technology, we're obviously able to offer a richer experience on the MFP through our user authentication and single sign-on. Here we obviously synchronise with the likes of Active Directory, so we can pull in the users and the organisational units, and we can use that for single sign-on purposes. So when a user authenticates at the MFP via a number of methods, we pass on the user's credentials, although not sending the password, because that's a bit of a security breach. But we can certainly allow the users to log on to any other kind of third-party application that conform to the development standards. So, for example, we could pass on the user's credentials to a scanning application or a fax application. That's typically what we see out there in the marketplace. We offer a range of ways in which a user can authenticate at a device. The screen you see here is typically what a user would see if they went up and touch the control panel of the device. We're typically locking that down because we want to track copy usage, but we can also provide a solution where the user only needs to authenticate if they want to release their print jobs. So that allows walk-up copy. So we're flexible in that way as well. This screen again is customizable from the admin interface. We can ask the user to present their full credentials, such as their network ID and password. It can simply just be a PIN or a short code. The QR code you see there is there for a reason, because we have a mobile app for Android and iOS devices that the user can scan that QR code and it would effectively log the user into the device. And of course, we support the authentication using ID cards. So ID cards scanned via the card readers will be another way in which the user can authenticate and open up the device. We control access via a range of permissions. So we can grant access to certain services such as print, copy, scan, and fax, and we can differentiate between all of these services. And we can also control color copy in that way as well. So whilst the user might be allowed to log into the device and copy, they would only be able to do monocopies at a color device, for example. I touched on our mobile app. Our mobile app offers a range of features, one of which is the ability to scan that QR code and log the user into the device. So increasingly, if there's more smartphones come available to the workforce, it's a better way in which they can authenticate. It's an alternative to ID badges if they forget their ID badge, and well, they might not make it into the building if they did that. The secure print release, we tend to talk about that in a slightly different context from authentication. The reason being that we can offer secure print release not just via the HyPAS enabled MFP, but we can also offer secure release at any network print device using our mobile apps. And we can also utilize network card readers if the customer wants to use ID cards across their entire fleet. So here is the typical screen a user would see. And we tend to be very consistent about our screens across all the devices that we support from an embedded perspective. Here the user would see all their jobs on the device. They would be able to select the jobs and release them. So any device that's connected at any location, the users can access their jobs. So even when they roam from location to location, because of our enterprise architecture, whether they're using one of our servers or multiple servers, we can drag jobs across the network. For example, if they were in Los Angeles and went to New York for a meeting, they had already submitted their job in Los Angeles, they can actually release that job in New York, even if it was on a different ROI server, as long as it's connected via network somehow. Another function of the mobile app here is to be able to release jobs. So you can see the same queue, as we call it, the My Queue. You can see that on the MFP control panel. You can also see it on the mobile app, and that also allows you to release jobs at any kind of print device at all, not just the MFPs. Which kind of nicely leads us on to mobile guest and hospitality printing. So yes, we have an app. We use these apps to allow users to submit jobs, but we also offer a number of other ways in which users can print from mobile devices. They can either upload jobs via a secure web page, which typically is what we would do in a guest printing or hospitality type environment. There, the user doesn't need to kind of download any applications. In fact, they don't even need to log on to the network if you can provide access to a secure web page, or the customer can provide access to a secure web page. The user can upload their jobs. Guest printing also typically uses the email submission mode. So here you would pass an email address out, print@yourcompany.com, and we would send back a nice courtesy email through the software. You could submit multiple jobs, not just limited to one attachment there. You can even print the body of the email. We would send back a notification, for example, informing the user of where they need to go to locate their job. We can even send them a PIN so that they type the PIN in to release the job at that device or devices that have been allocated for guest printing purposes. We also enable devices, even legacy devices, for AirPrint and Google Cloud Print. So we support both of these print protocols. One of the benefits is, and I don't know if you know, the limitation of AirPrint. You have to actually be on the same Wi-Fi network. The print device has to be on the same Wi-Fi network as the user. Well, we don't have that limitation. As long as our server is accessible to that Wi-Fi network, then the users can use AirPrint to submit the job. We can also do it over the cellular network, but some people don't like the kind of options there because it means port forwarding, which is secure, but certain IT departments just don't like that. Increasingly, we're seeing a lot of customers, particularly school districts, utilizing our integration to Google Cloud Print, particularly if they're using Chromebooks, because that's the main printing method for Chromebooks. So here we basically support the Google Cloud Print platform or protocol. We make any device available as a Google Cloud Print device. So that now gives you the added benefit that you can track what people are doing through Google Cloud Print. You can apply rules, so you can have all that functionality available to you now. And we can also pull down the jobs and make them available in a secure release environment. So a kind of pool print type environment. We can offer that functionality to Chromebook users. So there's a lot of functionality that's always been a very strong aspect of our software, the whole mobile print and hospitality functionality. And that's what our apps look like on various devices. So yeah, we'll be testing it on the iPhone X or iPhone 10 soon, and all the other devices when they come out. So on to our latest and greatest module. When I'm talking about the different modules within the software, our pricing facilitates the licensing of individual modules. We obviously have bundled pricing as well, so that all the functionality can be available. And everything that I've spoken about previously is typically what a customer would buy. The thing that we're finding now with our new print driver management module, which we've obviously had out in a number of beta sites, is that this is something that that we can sell a lot on its own. It's slightly different from the rest of the traditional print tracking. It's more of a tool for IT, and as I said, it helps organizations eliminate print servers. So the more print servers an organization has, the more cost effective it is to sell this type of solution, and the easier it is to make the business case. I think studies have shown that typically print servers can cost a company between $4,000 and $5,000 a year. I think that's maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but it's certainly significant. And in larger school districts, we see massive demand for this functionality. So what do we mean by print driver management? Well, here we're allowing the centralized management of all print drivers within an organization. So whether historically that's been spread across 2 print servers or 40 print servers, it doesn't matter. Because we're not processing jobs, we're not doing a queue management, we're able to manage like huge volumes of print drivers. and we're making sure that users have access to the correct print drivers for the printers that they want to use within their environment. So, as I touched on, print servers tend to be expensive. They're a single point of failure, so they go down and printing stops. Typically, in rolling out print drivers, IT departments will use scripts, group policies, which not everyone can actually do. And connecting to printers, surprisingly, I guess to all of us, it's fairly straightforward, but it's not really that easy for the majority of people out there in the workplace generally. They just don't know how to do it. And sometimes it's locked down by IT security policies, so it tends to be a bit hard. So the best way to kind of show you what we offer is give you a quick overview of our solution. So I'm going to log into our admin interface. So this is our admin web browser interface. I've actually got all the functionality of the software switched on here because I'm an admin. But as I said, we can license specific modules. This is the driver management function here. So the first thing that we kind of figured customers might want to do when they're moving across to ROI to manage their drivers is migrate from an existing print server environment. So here we're offering the ability to go out, crawl the network and pull back information on the existing print servers. As many of you know, sometimes for security purposes, organizations stop broadcasting, particularly through various routers and wide area networks. So we can also specify specific server IP addresses. So we can go straight to the print server and we can pull all the information about the printers and the drivers that we know exist today. But another way to do that is to pull all the information from LDAP. Typically today, LDAP is not only holding the user information, it also holds the details of all the computers or workstations and servers within an environment. So, that's something that we need to know for setting up the centralized driver management. We need to know which workstations are out there that we're going to deploy this stuff to. So here I'm going to give you a kind of quick overview. We're going to create what we call an organizational model. So if I kind of pop into this menu option right now, so we're going to create a picture, a representation of the customer's business. Now, we're going to create a bunch of locations. Now, these locations can be physical locations, they can be virtual locations, they can be, organizational units. It can be a wide variety of things. But what we're also going to do is we're going to choose an option that's going to import the printers, it's going to import the computers, and it's also going to put any printers or computers that we know into the organizational units, because we're going to use the organizational units of this customer's LDAP to create the organizational model within ROI. So very straightforward here. We would go out, pull in the information from Active Directory, LDAP, and it will begin to build up this organizational model. Now, we've got quite efficient ways in which we do this. Typically, the first time in which we are pulling information in from an LDAP might take a few minutes. But we've got a lot of big customers out there with hundreds of thousands of users, and when we're continually updating and syncing, we typically find we can update in a matter of minutes rather than hours. So it's fairly kind of efficient. So as law, having said that, it's a bit slower today connecting to things. Just as well I'm not doing some sort of facial recognition as well. That might not work. Sorry about that. Okay. So we've interrogated the LDAP, we've pulled in the information, and now if we go into the organizational model, you'll see that we've used the organizational units in this case to create sublocations of the organization, and we have put in all the workstations or servers that we've found into these corresponding locations. We haven't found a location for this workstation, and there's a number of printers here that we haven't found locations for. So therefore, we're going to just simply drag and drop them into our organizational model. And if you want to adapt the organizational model, you can easily create child locations and peer locations by selecting these options within the software. And you can start naming them and really creating a true representation of the business. Because we don't really care how big or how small each location is. It's almost irrelevant as far as ROI is concerned. So if we go into let's select some print devices here. Let's select these 3 print devices, and we're going to drag them across, and we're going to plop them into this location here. So now we can see we've the 3 print devices are now in this location, and there's only 1 workstation in this location at the moment. And what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to push down the configurations or make the configurations available in this workstation so that it has access to these 3 print devices. And we're going to ensure that this workstation always has the correct drivers for the printers that are available to it in the location. We have some other ways of helping out here. We can actually import floor plans, for example. So we can pull in a floor plan, and now we have a graphical view of the location. So we can go in here and we can start dragging across. So let's say there's 3 devices in that location, but we only want to make one of the devices available to other users that might roam or log in at this location. Because another feature of the software is that we can provide a self-service portal for users to log into and download the access to the correct printer and driver at that location. So this is typically how we build up the organizational model. If you kind of want to do the kind of old school way, you can go into the individual printers and you can start selecting them and typing in the data or selecting from the drop-down menus. You can do that for workstations as well, so we offer that capability. The agent that I've mentioned a number of times is also key to this infrastructure, because rather than pushing down a configuration from a server to a workstation, it's not typically efficient in these days of high security and really vicious antivirus software. And that typically gets locked down and stops you deploying any technology that way. The best way that we've found to do it is we are going to actually pull the information down using our agent. So not only does our agent track local print usage and help invoke rules, it also allows us to clear up that desktop, that workstation of the drivers and queues that the user should not have, and then pull down the correct drivers and queues that they should have. And thereby we can facilitate direct IP printing, so there's no dependency on a print server for queue management, for example. If that's great, and that offers an option. If that's something that the customer does not want to do, or you have particular users that move from location to location, we also offer a self-service portal. So if I go in here and kind of refresh, it's going to pick up the information about the organizational model that we've just created. If I go into the support here, or I could navigate my way to whatever kind of location I find myself in today, I can see the floor plan of that particular location, and here's the Kyocera device that we made available. As you can see here, as a roaming user, I'm only allowed to actually install that one device. So we can, again, provide access to specific print devices depending on what the role is within the organization. I'm not going to press any buttons right now because that'll take a little time and it's a bit complicated behind the scenes, so I'm not set up to do that right now, but it's fairly kind of straightforward from a user perspective to use that portal. And that's it. That's the functionality that we've offered. It's fairly straightforward and very intuitive to configure the environment and pull together even the largest environments, and makes it easier for IT departments to manage printer problems and printer drivers. It's all centrally located, so if the server's not available for any reason, users can still continue to print. It's not creating a dependency there. And that if organizations do have print servers, we can save a significant amount of cost and release equipment by eliminating them. So let me go back to the presentation here. So just finishing off now. Pricing and licensing, I said previously we can license individual modules. Our pricing policy is very straightforward. It's by print device, so unlimited users, unlimited workstations. We price by the print device in which we are managing. So fairly straightforward for you guys to work out the cost of a solution. We don't publish our MSRP anywhere to end users, so they're not going to know the MSRP. So you guys can charge as little as or as much as you want for the software. So that's again based on feedback we've had over the years from dealers. And we also offer another level of information via our partner portal. So this is a secure area of a website that you can apply for access to. If we know you and we like you, we'll give you access. And there you can access a wide range of information, more technical details about our software. We've got our the help desk system is accessible via our partner portal as well, and a range of kind of sales and marketing tools that you can access there. So a lot of that information is available online that we kind of hide from the end customer. We don't want them accessing that and basically doing it all themselves. So there you go. That concludes the presentation for today. I know I've given you a lot of information, and as I said, the recording of the webinar will be made available to you. I'm just popping into my my little dialogue here to see if there's any questions. Not seeing a lot of questions, but if you want to contact us afterwards, the contact details I'll leave on the screen here. So we're based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. That's the 602 number. Email at sales@roiprintmanager.com, or you can visit our website at roiprintmanager.com.
Okay, Peter, thank you so much. That was great. It's a really robust system, as you can see. And I know there's not a lot of questions right here, but I'm sure there will be plenty coming into my email based on what you just showed us. It was great, and I just want to thank you so much again for our partnership, and we'll let you know anything going forward as far as the people that were on this. And also, again, as Peter said, this is recording. So everybody will get, a copy. We'll post it up, actually. We'll post it to the website as soon as possible. And again, Peter, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone else, for taking the time out of your day today to come and listen to ROI demonstration. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.